Hello and welcome, dear learners. In today's lecture, we will explore an important and deeply meaningful dimension of education, namely the types of value education and the fundamental principles that guide value-based learning. While education often focuses on intellectual growth and academic achievement, value education addresses an equally important question: how do we become responsible, ethical and compassionate human beings? This session invites you to reflect not only on what you know, but also on how you live, interact and contribute to society. Dear students, the objectives of today's lecture are to help you understand the moral values, personal values, social values, cultural values, civic values and spiritual values. The lecture will also focus on fundamental principles of value education and to explain how these guide ethical behavior, personal growth and responsible living. Dear learners, value education transcends traditional classroom learning. It does not merely aim to transmit information or develop skills. Rather, it seeks to shape the inner character of learners. Through value education, students learn how to lead purposeful lives, make ethical choices, respect diversity, and respond thoughtfully to the complexities of the modern world. In an age marked by rapid social change, technological advancement, and increasing individualism, the role of values becomes more critical than ever. Knowledge without values can lead to misuse, while skills without ethics may harm society rather than uplift it. At its core, value education nurtures the moral, social, emotional, cultural and spiritual dimensions of a person. These dimensions are often overlooked in formal education systems that prioritize examinations and outcomes. Yet research in educational psychology consistently highlights the students who are exposed to value-based learning demonstrate higher levels of empathy, emotional regulation, ethical awareness and social responsibility. It's important to remember that values are not acquired simply through reading textbooks or memorizing definitions. Values are learned through lived experiences, observation, reflection and practice. Everyday interactions, family relationships, classroom environments, peer behavior and community engagement all become powerful teachers of values. Value education, therefore, provides a structured framework through which these everyday experiences can be understood, internalized and transformed into guiding principles for life. Dear students, let us now turn our attention to the various types of value education, each of which addresses a distinct yet interconnected aspects of human development. Understanding these types helps learners recognize how values influence behavior, decision making and social relationships in both personal and collective contexts. Moral value education forms the foundation of ethical living. Moral values guide individuals in distinguishing between right and wrong and enable them to make responsible choices even in situations where external supervision is absent. Values such as honesty, sincerity, respect, fairness and justice shape a person's moral compass. For example, choosing to speak the truth even when it may result in personal inconvenience reflects moral strength. Treating others with dignity regardless of their social or economic status demonstrates respect and fairness. Research in moral development theory, particularly the work of Lawrence Kohlberg suggests that individuals who engage in moral reasoning from an early age develop higher levels of ethical judgment and are more likely to act consistently with moral principles in adulthood. Value education broadly includes moral, personal, social, cultural, civic and spiritual values, each addressing a distinct yet interconnected aspect of human development. Together, these values guide individuals in shaping ethical behavior, personal identity, social relationships, cultural understanding, responsible citizenship and inner awareness. Let us now discuss these type of value education one by one. Dear students, as far as personal value education is concerned, it focuses on the development of the individual self. Personal values shape how individuals perceive themselves and their capabilities, influencing confidence, motivation, resilience and self-discipline. Values such as self-respect, independence, courage, perseverance, creativity and responsibility are central to personal growth. These values often emerge from a combination of family influences, cultural context, life experiences and individual aspirations. For instance, a student who values perseverance is more likely to persist through academic challenges rather than give up when faced with difficulty. A learner who values self-discipline develops the ability to manage time effectively and maintain focus on long-term goals. Research in positive psychology indicates that students with strong personal values demonstrate greater emotional resilience and higher levels of life satisfaction. Such values empower individuals to navigate uncertainty, adapt to change and maintain a sense of purpose in both personal and professional life. Another important type of value education is social value education, which emphasizes harmonious living within society. Human beings are inherently social and the quality of social relationships significantly influences individual well-being and collective progress. Social values such as cooperation, tolerance, empathy, kindness and mutual respect enable individuals to coexist peacefully and productively. These values remind learners that they are part of larger social fabric and that their actions affect others. Examples of social values can be observed in everyday behaviors such as helping someone in need, working collaboratively in group tasks, listening attentively to others' opinions and resolving conflicts through dialogue rather than aggression. Educational research shows that classrooms that consciously promote social values experience lower levels of bullying, increased peer support and a more inclusive learning environment. Students who internalize social values are better equipped to build healthy relationships, function effectively in teams and contribute positively to community life. Dear students, another important type of value education is cultural value education. Cultural value education plays a vital role in preserving identity while fostering respect for diversity. Cultural values include traditions, customs, language, art forms and social practices that define a community's heritage. Through cultural values, learners develop a sense of belonging and continuity, which is essential for psychological stability and self-understanding. At the same time, Exposure to diverse cultural values nurtures openness, tolerance, and appreciation for differences. Celebrating festivals together, learning traditional music or art, participating in community rituals, and understanding local histories are examples of how cultural values are transmitted. Studies in multicultural education suggests that students who are encouraged to explore both their own culture and others' cultures develop stronger intercultural competence and reduced prejudicial attitudes. Cultural value education thus helps learners balance rootedness with openness, enabling them to participate respectfully in an increasingly interconnected world. Coming to another type of value education, civic value education. Dear students, civic value education prepares learners for responsible citizenship. Civic values guide individuals in understanding their rights, duties, and responsibilities within society. Values such as respect for law, democratic participation, social justice, environmental responsibility, and civic engagement are essential for the functioning of a democratic society. Civic value education emphasizes that citizenship is not merely a legal status but an active and ethical practice. Examples of civic values include following rules that ensure collective safety, participating in community initiatives, making informed choices in public matters, and demonstrating concerns for public resources. Research in civic education highlights that students who receive consistent exposure to civic values are more likely to engage in community service, demonstrate political awareness, and show commitment to social welfare. Such education nurtures informed, responsible citizens who contribute constructively to national and global challenges. Spiritual value education is another important type of value education which addresses the inner dimension of human life. Spiritual values are not confined to any single religion. Rather, they focus on universal qualities such as compassion, humility, inner peace, gratitude, forgiveness, and a sense of purpose. Spiritual values encourage individuals to reflect on their inner world and cultivate mindfulness and self-awareness. Practices such as meditation, reflection, acts of compassion, and moments of silence help learners connect with themselves and others at a deeper level. Psychological research indicates that spiritual well-being is associated with reduced stress, improved emotional regulation, and greater overall life satisfaction. By nurturing spiritual values, education supports holistic well-being and helps individuals find meaning beyond material success. Having examined the types of value education, it's equally important to understand the fundamental principles that guide value-based learning. These principles ensure that value education is not fragmented or superficial, but deeply integrated into the educational process. Dear students, let's now discuss these principles one by one. The principle of comprehensive development emphasizes the holistic growth of the individual. Value education aims to develop not only intellectual abilities but also emotional sensitivity, moral awareness, social competence, and spiritual insight. Education that addresses only the cognitive domain remains incomplete. Research in holistic education demonstrates that students who experience balanced development perform better academically, and exhibit healthier emotional and social behavior. Appreciation for human worth is another fundamental principle of value education. This principle asserts that every individual deserves dignity, respect, and fair treatment. By recognizing the inherent worth of every human being, learners develop inclusive attitudes and reject discrimination. Educational environments that uphold this principle foster mutual respect and psychological safety, enabling students to express themselves freely and authentically. Another significant principle, understanding and kindness, lie at the heart of value education. Empathy allows learners to perceive situations from others' perspectives and respond with compassion. Studies in social emotional learning consistently show that empathy-based education reduces conflict and enhances cooperation. When students learn to understand others' feelings and experiences, they become more human and socially responsible. Analytical thinking and moral choice form another key principle. Value education encourages learners to think critically before acting rather than responding impulsively. By analyzing situations, considering consequences, and evaluating ethical dimensions, students develop moral reasoning skills. This principle prepares learners to navigate complex real-life dilemmas with integrity and fairness. Community engagement reflects the social orientation of value education. Learners are encouraged to contribute positively to their communities and recognize their interconnectedness with others. Community-based learning experiences have been shown to enhance social responsibility and civic awareness, reinforcing the idea that education serves both individual and collective good. The principle of self-reflection and personal development are central to internalizing values. Reflection enables learners to examine their beliefs, actions, strengths, and areas for growth. Research in reflective practice suggests that self-awareness enhances ethical consistency and personal growth. Value education, therefore, encourages continuous self-improvement rather than rigid moral conformity. The principle of coexistence and unity emphasizes peaceful living in diversity. Learners are taught to manage differences constructively and resolve conflicts through dialogue. In a pluralistic society, this principle is essential for social harmony. Educational studies indicate that students trained in conflict resolution and cooperative learning develop stronger interpersonal skills and reduced aggression. Truthfulness and integrity form the ethical backbone of value education. Integrity involves consistency between values and actions, even in challenging situations. Educational research highlights that integrity-based learning environments fosters trust and accountability, contributing to healthier relationships and stronger institutions. Dear learners, as we draw this lecture to close, it becomes clear that value education is not an optional addition to education, but a fundamental necessity. Through the exploration of different types of values and the principles that sustain them, learners gain a deeper understanding of how values shape behavior, choices, and relationships. Value education equips individuals with ethical discernment, emotional resilience, and social responsibility, enabling them to lead meaningful lives and contribute positively to society. Ultimately, Education that integrates values prepares learners not only for career but for life itself. It nurtures individuals who act with integrity, respect diversity, engage constructively with others, and strive towards a more peaceful and compassionate world. This concludes our discussion on the types and fundamental principles of value education. In the next session, we will continue to explore how these values can be effectively integrated into educational practice. Thank you for your attentive participation in today's session. I hope this lecture has helped you gain a clearer understanding of the types and fundamental principles of value education and their significance in shaping responsible and ethical individuals. I look forward to meeting you again.